Welcome everyone, Farmer Cop here. This is just a quick video to talk about some new information that was released by Giant Software. So they released kind of a FAQ and dev interview about why Farming Simulator VR was a standalone game. And so hopefully maybe this will answer some of those questions for you guys. So anyhow, here we are. Farming Simulator VR is just hours away. This special experience optimized for a VR environment by our virtual reality experts allows you to put digital hands on machines, tools, and plants. Want to know why we decided to make FSVR a standalone game? We answer your questions. Watch our VR stream recording with Lucas Cure, the branch manager in, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, read the interview with Thomas, the head of art, and enjoy a couple new screenshots. So the screenshots aren't super exciting. I'm going to just show those at the end of this video. So if you don't care, you can just stop watching after that, but I will show you those at the end. Farming Simulator VR releases just in time for the weekend on Friday, February 28th. So that's 2 days away. Available for Meta Quest 2, Quest 3, Quest 3S, and Quest Pro. I've been playing on Quest 3. Seems to be pretty good on that, at least. If you want to know, like, if you should buy it or not, I would go watch my first impressions video. It's 50-50 whether you should buy it. It's kind of gotta be, you gotta make some decisions. But streaming screenshots. There's even a basketball. It's a farming game. I don't care if there's a basketball, to be honest. Did you miss our VR stream? Martin and Kermit talked to Lucas Cure about the VR standalone version came to be, and watched the other Lucas. We have several play FSVR live on the stream. Check it out. Highlights were probably a look at the greenhouses in the workshop. So they do have this on their official YouTube channel. If you want to go watch their stream, you can do that as well. It says soon you'll be able to do it yourself. Oh, actually, we might just see the screenshots as we're going through here. If you're into greenhouses and gardening, you'll probably spend some time planting seeds, watering, removing weeds and dead plants, and then picking and selling healthy vegetables all by hand. Choose from tomatoes, eggplant, lettuce, squash, strawberries, and beets. And by squash, they mean pumpkins, by the way, which they are a squash, technically, I think. So, yeah, you can see just they're selling that. They have some seeds there on the wall. Yeah, and I don't have any complaints about the graphics. It's a VR game, so I really don't have any complaints about the graphics. I have a couple of complaints about the game, which I talked about in my first impressions video. But I think it's really good for what it is, and it makes sense it's not part of Farming Simulator 25. I don't think it would have made sense to be a part of Farming Simulator 25. I just don't think it would have. It had to be a standalone. Or would you rather spend time in the fields? You'll be able to inspect and operate these machines if they were right in front of you. So they do have a list of the machines here. I'm not going to just read all these guys off to you guys. I'll scroll up just maybe right. Ooh, easy does it. There we go. Right there, so you guys can see them all. If you want to pause it and read through them, these are all of them. It's actually quite a few pieces of equipment for a VR game, to be fair. I know it's nothing compared to Farming Simulator 25, but it's quite a few different things to drive that they put in the game. So I think that's pretty cool. And it is cool to be able to sit in these machines and actually hit all the buttons in them. Well, not all of them, but most of the buttons to operate things, turn things on and off. It's pretty cool instead of, just doing it on your keyboard in Farming Simulator 25. That part's very cool. Yeah, so I do like that part. It's not open world, though. That's the part I don't like. So you're not driving out to your field with the correct equipment and stuff like that. The other cool thing is you get to repair all these different things, and there's tons of different stuff to repair. So that's really cool. And here it's going to talk about that now. You'll have to do some maintenance from time to time. Some of your machines will wear. That doesn't just mean cleaning them with a pressure washer, but changing parts like tires or other elements of those mechanical beasts. And yes, you will have to grab onto ladders and climb the machine to repair and refill it. Use tools like different types of wrenches, including an impact wrench, oil cans, and more to screw, grease, and handle all these parts. There's quite a bit to do in the workshop. So there is quite a bit to do. You can see that's a cabin air filter there. The grease gun, that's the fast impact wrench. They have a fast and a slow one. Here they're working on the seeder. You can see there, it looks like getting ready to replace the PTO. Here he's replacing, looks like that sign on the back there. Replacing a beacon light. So there's a lot of stuff to do in terms of that. When you're done in the field repairing and cleaning your equipment and tending to your greenhouse plants, there's even time to shoot some basketballs or put on some vinyl in the shop's rest area, which is, yeah, you can do that if you'd like to. Before we get down to the interviews down here, the one thing I want to note, all of this stuff that you have to do, the one thing, it's really easy to make money in this game. So you kind of can buy everything pretty quickly. Like, you only have to do a few harvests and you really can probably afford everything. So I think that if I was to sit down and not in a row, I think I could do every single thing in this game in less than 40 hours of playing on VR, which I know is a lot for VR, because I know some people can't handle being in it for very long. I try to be in it for less than 30 minutes at a time, because it hurts my eyes and my brain. But yeah, so that's what I would say about that. I think you could do everything in the game in 40 hours or less. So whether that's worth a $20 game to you guys, it's still a pretty good deal. I mean, 50 cents an hour for entertainment, it's pretty cool. But if you don't have a MetaQuest, probably not really worth it, just to be honest. Talking to Thomas, the head of art. So Thomas, tell me your old Giants. As the head of art, I am director of art production here at that office. I plan to find scope, coordinate tools, shaders. Yep, that's great. Okay. Tell us about the VR team. What kind of expertise came together here? It was a great experience to work with people who have a rich background in the game industry. From project managers, coders, and artists, we put together a great team of professionals, some with more than 20 years in the industry. Sorry, I needed to drink a coffee there. Besides that, we had a great support from within the Giants team on specific technical and agricultural topics related to machines or farming. However, it was sometimes challenging as we couldn't drag them away from Farming Simulator 25, of course. So, this is the thing that people get upset with. They're like, why were they working on a VR game when they were trying to get Farming Simulator 25 done and it wasn't really right? Farming Simulator 25 was the priority. There was a few people that were on this VR team that was their only job. So those people worked on VR, but they didn't know how to work on Farming Simulator 25. It wasn't their job. So I don't think that Giants ever sacrificed any people to work on VR. Yes, some of them would work on it here when they had time, but for the most part, people were working on Farming Simulator 25. So I don't think that's the reason that we had bugs and things like that at launch. And if you remember back to Farming Simulator 22, Farming Simulator 25 has way less bugs at launch. I know it has a lot. I'm not saying it's perfect. It has way less than Farming Simulator 22. So yeah, there's that. But yes, I get the perspective of that. You have to remember the Giants has hundreds of employees, so they have plenty of people to work on different things. In the concept phase, how did you approach defining the gameplay? I greatly appreciate the freedom we received from top management. The initial concept was entirely in our hands with a minimum of feedback. The platform was very new to us, so we had to research not only repair and power washing mechanics, but also the target audience. We wanted to ensure the game was accessible to everyone who wanted to experience the hard work of farmers from the comfort of their living room. Considering the possible fatigue from wearing a headset, we adjusted the gameplay to be realistic and engaging, yet meaningful in shorter sessions, which is very true, and that's why I think they earn money so fast. But it's not going to be I think part of the reason I'm not as big of a fan of it is I've never played VR games before, and so I'm viewing this as a different version of Farming Simulator, and I think that's why it's not maybe up to my standards of what I would like. Oops, don't need to do that. What were the challenges in realizing the mechanics in virtual reality? Shorter playtime and farming experience gave us a hard time. The hardware limitations of the standalone device we targeted were the biggest headache, especially for artists, which makes sense. We always want everything to look as beautiful as possible. As beautiful and possible. Maybe as beautiful as possible. I don't know. I remember the initial performance sense of the side, we had to accept the constraints we were facing. It would be unfair to compare an otherwise excellent device with a PC. On the other hand, it pushed us out of our comfort zone and helped us deliver our best. Yes, you can't compare the graphics on a VR game to a PC game. They're two completely different things. You just can't compare them. How and why differs FSVR in terms of art design compared to the main series? Mentioned above, FSVR's goal is to provide a farming experience to a wide audience. VR for immersion. Its ambition is to complement the main series by offering a different kind of experience. Yeah, it's standalone. I would view it completely separately. Any other unexpected surprises during development? It's hard to recall all of them. We can render a whole field of crops. My wish came true, and I couldn't imagine a better team of experts than these. Okay, perfect. Changing which gameplay mechanics benefited the most from virtual reality? Changing flat tires. It's really good for back stretching. Fair enough. Did you, the team, have a personal wow moment? First, realizing how bad I am at basketball. Second, discovering that our friend from QA found 1,000+1 ways to reach and climb a ladder outside the playing area. Interesting. How did you balance realism and accessibility for VR players? Realism of the main title was not our goal, partly because our small dedicated team had a very different workforce compared to the team on the main FS series. My main goal for the artwork was to provide stylized realism, which I believe was the best choice for the title. I hope players appreciate that. Testing a VR game is probably quite different too. What's special about that? Ladders. Okay. Wish them as much fun playing the game as we had developing it. So there you go. Okay. So FSVR, why? So frequently asked questions. These are probably the ones you guys want the answers to. So why MetaQuest? MetaQuest is by far the most popular VR headset on the market. Focus on this platform allows us to cover the biggest base of players to enjoy virtual farming, as it potentially includes the most players, even if they do not own a potent PC and or other headset. So that's why they chose MetaQuest, just the most popular version out there. I don't know why they can't make it like cross-platform where it's available on other headsets. I'm assuming there's a reason for that. And I'll be honest with you, if Giants could have made it so they could sell it to more people, they would have done that. So if it would have been easy to do, they would have not just done it with MetaQuest. Trust me. Why a standalone version? A standalone version that is purely optimized for virtual reality is the most efficient way to produce a VR experience within the franchise, especially in regard to not drawing resources from Farming Simulator 25. Here's what's to keep in mind regarding VR in general. VR sessions are usually shorter compared to playing regular games like FS25. The game loops and mechanics in a standalone VR game are optimized for that. This enhances the overall flow and experience for VR. Other elements, UI accessibility, could also be optimized with more focus. So why did you not focus on FS25 instead? We did. FS25 had nothing taken away because of FSVR. Since not all teams work on the same thing at the same time, development of FSVR was independent of FS25, and the VR's team resources could not be applied to FS25 during the time frame where they were focused on VR. So that's the other thing too. The people that were working on both, certain things that you do rely on other teams to complete their tasks first because you don't do that job. So it's not that they have 100 people and all 100 people know how to do everything in Farming Simulator 25. You have 10 people that work on sound, maybe 10 graphics, 10 whatever it may be, and they can't do all the different jobs. So that's just the way it is. Explain. Think of Giants as a big farm with multiple fields and multiple farmers. Each farmer is specialized in different tasks. These tasks can't be shared, like multiple cooks can't stir the same soup at the same time. Team FS25 is in full harvest mode together with other teams specialized in hauling and transporting, etc. Team VR, however, are experts in plowing and preparing new fields. Team VR did their duty for FS25 a while ago already. They can't harvest at the same time as other teams, but don't want to stand around doing nothing. So instead, they're putting their skills to work prepping fresh soil for FSVR. And this is what they did. That's exactly why. So that's why it is the way it is. What about VR for the main series? Implementing VR into the main series is a far more complex undertaking. It needs to not only work in VR, but to work well in VR. Slapping a VR mode onto it quick will not be an experience that is enjoyable as it should be, especially since VR experiences are tricky due to many factors like the risk of motion sickness, performance and hardware, etc. To be fair, I know some of you guys have said, well, they should have just put like a PC VR mode, whatever, for FS25, just throw that in there. You guys would have complained so bad if it didn't work perfectly. You guys would have complained hard about it. And you guys would have been like, well, why did they do this if it doesn't work? So that's why they didn't just slap a VR mode on there. And that does make sense. I'm not saying that you guys are wrong, but this makes sense why it's separate. The way the series has grown in almost 2 decades would require us to retrofit everything you can do in the game. Unlike FSVR, the main games were not built to be played in VR from the get-go. From the way characters move on foot, the complexity of controls and commands, over how machines shake and behave on fields and various ground conditions to keeping performance, multiplayer, and other things intact poses a challenge, which makes sense. It may sound easy on paper, but it's not as easy as it appears. What does it mean for the future? Bringing VR to the main series requires a lot of resources and attention and could draw from other aspects of the game. While we bear the wish for a VR mode in mind, we'd have to prioritize it over other features and improvements that might be higher up the list of requests from the community. While this does not mean we're dropping the possibility, we will have to find a way to make the addition of VR as efficient as possible and to guarantee that other features and improvements do not suffer from it. We will regularly revisit and examine it, but do not have anything to announce at this time, but we hope you will have fun in Farming Simulator VR. And that's kind of the end of the vlog down here. Yeah, so it's possible. I wouldn't expect it in the next game, maybe even the next 2 games, but maybe, 10 years from now we can have it in the main game. I wouldn't hold my breath on it. But it is cool we have Farming Sim VR for those guys that do really want to play on VR. You have that opportunity. But yeah, sorry, a little bit longer video, but I hopefully this answers some questions for you guys. We saw all the screenshots, so I'm not going to show any different screenshots. They're all in the vlog there. But yep, that's what I got for you guys. If you guys enjoyed, please drop a like down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button up on the screen to join the Farmer Cop channel and turn your notification bell so you don't miss any future videos I may post. This has been Farmer Cop. Thank you guys for coming and watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.